No, that's your point. I know you have a valid point.
So who's the girl that's staying at home?
I understand it. Back in those days, there was nobody at home, right? It was me and those two, and we were at home. That's how it was for a while.
Exactly.
That's how it was for a long time.
But now if you're telling me that I'm supposed to love you, that I'm supposed to want something different from you, you need to treat me different than the other 4 girls that are sitting at that table. You're gonna say, baby, we're running this business together, and these 4 girls here are gonna work for us.
But you guys got to remember, this is after. That's during the grind phase. But once you're gonna be the first one to get the Gucci bag, you're gonna be the first one to be taken on a trip. You're gonna be the first one to get the fruits of the labor
with other girls.
Just admit that you're the pimp.
With other girls.
Gonna get, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what you didn't understand. What you don't understand about the setup. So if you think it was Andrew and 2 girls forever, from the day the money started coming in, it grew, and it was. I wouldn't quite say more like a pyramid scheme, but those girls who were with us from the beginning, who were there when we were broke, who came to work for us when we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom apartment, when it got bigger and the house was bigger and the lifestyle was nicer, the girls were like, oh yeah, I want some of this, who were joining then, they were below these girls. So you could talk about same opportunity. The other girls were making much more money because they were we were giving them bigger percentages. They had been working longer. We respected them more. We were treating them better. But we were never going to lie from the get-go and say, you know what, it's just me and you and the other girls are different, because from there we were like, okay, we have this business now. We're making X amount of money. Let's scale this. 3 years after that story that he told you about, we were cash millionaires. 3 years after. So, and those girls had a premier position above everyone else. So it wasn't equality.
No, but she thinks she doesn't want to share with one girl.
It was equality between them too.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you sit me, if I'm supposed to be important to you, if I'm supposed to be the girl that's standing by you, that's supporting you, that you want to be your ride or die, you sit me to the side. You don't sit me with the 4 other girls. You sit me to the side and you say, baby, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And if I'm down for that, I'm gonna help you get some girls.
No, I understand.
That's what I'm gonna do.
I understand your point.
She wants to be the pimp. She doesn't want to be.
But she said that she's a wife here.
So let's talk in pimp.
Listen, this is hypothetical.
Let's talk in pimp.
That's not what I'm saying that I'm gonna do. This is hypothetical. This is me putting myself in that situation. That's what I'm trying to say.
Let's talk in pimp language. So what you're, because there's a language to the game.
Which is where you're asking, you're telling me to place myself in that situation. That's why I'm talking like that.
But earlier we talked about not caring what your man is doing if you're the main one. So how can you care? You can't build with someone. Y'all just told me earlier that building isn't non-existent. So you can't sit here and tell him, oh, you have to tell me what we're doing with these girls. No, you have to be on their level until he makes a decision that you're higher than anyone else. That's how I look at it. If you're trying to be any type of wifey, but you can't have both.
Guys, okay, but I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about this specific situation.
We are, and we are.
Are we talking about
I understand what you're saying.
Are we talking about how we feel, or are we talking about
I understand
this situation? Yeah. I'm confused.
I understand your point, right? So, and what's actually interesting is if you want to look at, because I kept getting called a pimp. I really never thought of myself as a pimp. I was purely a businessman. But in the pimp world, in the pimp language, they have something called a bottom bitch, and that's their number one girl, and that's the number one girl that runs all the other girls. So when you're saying you take me to the side and me and you, we run these girls, that's how most pimps do it. Even the guys on the street, they have their number one chick who they can trust. That's their number one girl they can say, give instructions to, and she helps him run all the other girls.
Yeah.
So, and for a long period of my webcam business, I did have one girl who I trusted the most, and me and her were a team, and we ran all the other girls. That is how it ended up. But at the very, very beginning, with these 2 girls, how am I going to know who's more dedicated to the task? I don't know. It's kind of like Hunger Games. Within 6 months, it was clear, right? But at the beginning of it, I was new to the business like anyone else, right? But after 6 months, most of my empire was run with me, and there was one chick who I could really trust, and I trusted her in every single way, and it was me and her running all of it. So it is, what you're saying is very, very possible. The idea of a man and a woman, and they work together, and then there's all these other girls, but it's a business, and they're a team, and blah blah blah. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
Right.
It did get that way.
I'm not saying that I'm okay with it. I'm not saying that I would be that girl that stands by you to support you. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm putting myself in that situation. If you want me to be different, then you have to put me in a different situation.
Right.
But he is saying that that girl will be put in a different situation because she's higher on the totem pole than the other women.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
She's going to be the first one to get like the rewards when the fruits of the labor.
She has to. Okay. I'll be fair. There was a competition between 2 girls for a while, but it didn't last long. That's kind of how it worked, right? That's kind of how it worked. I think one of them bowed out pretty early. One of them got arrogant about it and said, I don't want to compete. And then she lost.
Ever seen that scene in The Dark Knight when the Joker breaks the pool stick in half and drops one in the middle?
Yeah.
That's what
The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight. That's my favorite. My favorite movie.
With all you hoes. No.
So, all right.